Hey there, trail trekkers and tall tale seekers. You're tuned in to the 406 Life, the podcast where Montana Max, your Bigfoot buddy and outlaw gear mascot, yeah, that's me, leads you through the wild, weird, and wonderful corners of Montana. Each week we share stories, legends, and laughs from the last best place. So grab your boots and sense of adventure, because we're about to make some Montana-sized memories. This episode's powered by Outlaw Gear, where rebels get their style. Want to look legendary? Mosey over to I'mAnOutlaw.com and claim your outlaw status. Welcome to the 406 Life. I'm Montana Max, your local Bigfoot, here to prove Montana has more going on than scenic views and people arguing about whose truck is louder. Today I'm in Philipsburg with Cathy and Nolan Smith from Philipsburg Brewing Company. They turned a tiny historic mining town into a beer destination with the vault downtown and the springs up the hill. They even brew with their own mountain spring water and use resealable aluminum bottles. Yes, really. If you've ever wondered how you build something this big in a town this small, stick around.
Hi, I'm Cathy Smith, co-owner of Philipsburg Brewing Company.
And I'm Nolan Smith, co-owner and operations manager of Philipsburg Brewing Company.
Thank you for being here with us today. So our first question is, how did the idea of starting Philipsburg Brewing come about? Was there a light bulb moment for both of you? Something that said, we need a brewery right here?
Not really a light bulb moment. I'll let Nolan talk to it too, but it was, we love beer and we love going to breweries. And we thought maybe this would be a great idea for this little town.
Yeah, we saw Bitterroot Brewing grow from a tiny brewery with 5 bar stools into something rather large in a big town like that. So we're wondering if we could do the same thing in our little town of Philipsburg.
We love beer, we love breweries, and this town needs one. That's a Montana business plan if I've ever heard one. Now tell me this. In the brewery ecosystem, who's doing what? Cathy, are you the brains? Nolan, are you the brawn? Or is it more like you both take turns putting out fires and pretending you're not stressed?
So I handle the day-to-day tap room. I manage the tap room manager. I do all the accounting. I do everything but brew beer.
And up here at the Springs, I kind of oversee the brewing operations and then supervise and operate the bottling line.
Okay, Cathy. Everything but brew beer is the most taproom owner sentence I've ever heard. You're basically the CEO of chaos and spreadsheets. And Nolan's up at the Springs running brewing and the bottling line like some kind of beer scientist in the mountains. Now I gotta ask, why Philipsburg specifically? And I mean beyond the obvious because yes, it's gorgeous and the mountains basically sell themselves. But what made you look at this town and think, this is where a brewery belongs?
Well, we lived here and we both had to travel out of town for a job. We wanted to stay here. We love the people here. We love the history. Nolan's a miner, so he fits right in this town. An old-fashioned brewery would fit right in.
That makes a ton of sense. Wanting to stay put is a powerful motivator. And Nolan, being a miner in Philipsburg, is basically the most I was born for this town detail imaginable. Also, an old-fashioned brewery that matches the town's bones. That's just good storytelling and good business. And speaking of the town's bones, you didn't just open anywhere. You brought brewing back at the historic Kroger Brewing site, and you've got that old bank building downtown. That's a cool flex. But I'm guessing it's not always simple. So, what's it actually been like working in those historic spaces? What challenges surprised you? What opportunities came with it? And what pieces of the history did you insist on keeping or weaving into the experience?
So the downtown location that we call the Vault was originally built as a bank in 1888, First National Bank. And it's operated several different businesses in and out of there over the years. There was a game room, pharmacy, and a clothing store, and all kinds of different stuff. The biggest challenge was just the remodeling of the building because it is an old building, it had to be kind of retrofitted with, power and electricity and heat and upgrade the floors and all that sort of stuff in order to handle the load of the tanks and that. But we preserved as much of the original building as we could, the stained glass windows, the actual bank vault and things like that, so it maintained its original charm. Up here at the Springs, this is where the first brewery was built in Philipsburg in 1875. This building that we're in right now, the Springs we call it, was built in the 90s for a water bottling plant because there's a mountain spring here. So this building sat vacant, and when we moved in here in 2014, I think it was, again, slightly older building, but challenges again with loading on the floors, the ceiling height and things like that in here. But again, this is a historic site here, and we've maintained the old malt kiln and the brewer's house and the trees that he planted for his kids. So trying to maintain the historic nature of this place too.
That is ridiculously cool. The Springs isn't just where the beer is made. You've turned it into a full-on destination. People come up here to hang out, not just grab a pint and leave. So what did that look like on purpose? Like, when did you decide, we're going to make the Springs a place people plan their day around? And what are some of the events, traditions, or experiences you've built up here that really made it take off?
Well, it was pretty run down when we bought it, and there was no decks, no flowers left, no anything, and we really wanted an outside venue. We kind of wanted it a little amphitheater, so we built a stage. I love to plant flowers, so we planted a ton of flowers, which Mrs. Kroger had done, 150 years ago, so the soil was really good. We just wanted to make it a fun family place to come. We have food, so we're open every weekend in the summer. We have great food. Kids are welcome, dogs are welcome, everybody's welcome.
You're open from?
Memorial Day to Labor Day.
And we have music every weekend.
Ready for your next Montana home? Visit mostwantedrealestate.net, because that's how the West is sold. Okay, so you basically took run down and turned it into bring the kids, bring the dog, stay all afternoon. You built a whole vibe. And I love the full circle moment with the flowers, like you're basically high-fiving Mrs. Kroger across 150 years. Also, I respect the everyone's welcome policy. Now here's the part I don't want to gloss over. You're called Mountain Springs for a reason. You've got the history of these natural springs, and you even bottle the water. So how does that water actually show up in the beer? Does it change the taste or the kind of styles you can brew really well? And do you see the spring water as kind of the center of your brand identity? Or more like this incredible built-in advantage you get to build around? I'm asking because humans will debate hops for 3 hours, but the water is doing most of the heavy lifting, and it never gets invited to the conversation.
So we have a very unique situation here in the fact that we can have our own mountain spring here in the building, and we could use spring water in the beer. We think it creates a superior product because it's not city water or water like you might find in other towns, and we actually own the water right to the spring. Between that and the whole leaf hops and stuff that we use in our beers, we think it makes a superior product, and our customers tend to agree.
That is a unicorn setup. Most breweries are out here fighting with city water, and you're just casually brewing with a mountain spring you literally own the rights to. And it's not just the water, you're stacking the deck with whole leaf hops too, so yeah, if the beer tastes cleaner and brighter, that tracks. Also, if your customers agree, that's the only review that really matters. Now I want to nerd out on packaging for a minute, because you didn't go the usual route. You adopted those resealable aluminum bottles, which is not something you see everywhere. What made you choose that over standard cans or glass?
So we chose the Alumitech bottle to kind of fit with our lifestyles. You know, most people in Philipsburg are active outdoors, hunting, fishing, skiing, snowmobiling, whatever. And the fact that the bottle is resealable lends itself to not wasting beer, not getting your beer diluted while you're running a river, things like that. It provided a lot of challenges because we're the only craft brewery in the country that uses these bottles. So we had to bring some machinery in from Italy in order to cap the bottles themselves. And they are a little bit more expensive than the average can, but we wanted something that fit our lifestyles and stood out on the shelf. And these come from Ball Corporation just outside of Golden, Colorado.
The resealable part is genius for real-life Montana. Nobody wants river water beer or to set a can down in the dirt for 5 minutes and come back to a bug doing the backstroke in it. And you're telling me you're the only craft brewery in the country doing this. So you had to import capping machinery from Italy? That's equal parts impressive and completely unhinged in the best way. So take me back to the early days. You start humble in 2012, and now you've got production, bottling, the Springs location, the vault. It's a whole operation. What were the big turning point moments where you realized, okay, it's time to level up?
Well, first off, our head brewer said he was bored, but he found out he wasn't. We just ran out of space. We wanted to start distributing and getting out in the state, and there was no room at the vault. So Nolan luckily found this location, the Springs. We purchased that so we could put in a bottling line. We could do more production brewing. This is a 50-barrel system at the Springs. It's only a 10-barrel system at the vault. So we're 5 times bigger up here to produce beer.
You hit the classic problem. The vault is awesome. And also it's not exactly built for let's distribute across Montana. So the Springs becomes the growth engine. And jumping from a 10-barrel system to a 50-barrel system is not a baby step. That's a full growth spurt. Now, I've got to imagine running a brewery in a small historic mining town is amazing. And also, occasionally, a pain in the butt. What have been the biggest challenges for you, either back then or still today?
So since Philipsburg is a small town with, 850 residents, you don't have a big pool to draw from as far as customers go, as far as employees go, and things like that. But it has turned out to be a draw to bring people to town. It's kind of like the candy store and the sapphire galleries. The fact that we're in a small town like this makes it easier for us to give back to the community, be part of the community, and help support, charitable organizations and things like that. Yes, when we were talking to other brewers and telling them we were going to put a brewery in Philipsburg, they thought we were crazy. Some of us told us we couldn't do that because we weren't close to any big towns or weren't located in a big city. And that does provide some logistical challenges, but at the same time, we're fairly centrally located with, Butte, Missoula, and Helena being roughly an hour away. So.
First off, anyone who told you you can't do a brewery in Philipsburg clearly doesn't understand Montana math. In a small town, if you build something people love, it doesn't just survive, it becomes a magnet. And you nailed that. You're not just serving the 850 people who live here. You're pulling in the candy store crowd, the sapphire hunters, the folks who want an actual experience. And I love what you said about giving back. In a small town, you don't just sponsor the community, you are the community. That hits different. You've become a real destination.
Yes, and it was better than we expected. When we did our projections, we can only serve 48 ounces per day per person. And 850 people, how many are over 21? It didn't pencil out, but it's working, and we're very happy about that.
This episode's powered by Outlaw Gear, where rebels get their style. Want to look legendary? Mosey over to I'mAnOutlaw.com and claim your outlaw status. That's the kind of surprise I love. Now this one's fun. Let's talk beer creativity. When you're coming up with new beers, what's the process like? Do you mostly stick to classic styles and just do them really well? Or do you ever experiment, mash things up, or try something a little off the wall?
We try to stay true to our brand. We don't try to do anything crazy. And it's mostly up to the brewers to do that. We give them free rein to be creative and figure out what they want to brew. We kind of stay true to our brand.
We have a 1-barrel brew house up here that the brewers can experiment with. So in the summertime, we try to bring out a new keg of a different style of beer every weekend, and then we can interact with our customers and just see how they respond to that style of beer or that flavor of beer. And then, at some point we can scale up that particular recipe and brew a bigger batch down in the vault and see how people respond to it and how it sells.
And tell me something I really need to know. Do your brewers get to name the beers too? Because I feel like naming rights is where the true chaos lives.
Yes, they won't let us name them, even though I disagree with some of the names, but it doesn't matter.
We got to name the first few, but after
That was
that,
it.
that
Yeah.
was over.
You got to name Haybag and Razoo.
Tramway.
So, be honest. Are your brewers kind of divas? Like, don't talk to me until I've had my mash temp exactly right divas.
Oh, very.
I knew it. I could feel the brewer diva energy from across the room. Okay, so let's talk fan favorites. When someone walks in and says, "Give me what you're known for," what are the staple beers that people keep coming back for? And then on the flip side, what's a more experimental or seasonal beer you're especially proud of? Or one that surprised you like, wait, people are obsessed with that one?
Haybag is our leading claim to fame. Everybody loves Haybag, and it's our best distributed in the state. I think the one that surprised me was the pumpkin barley wine. We've won gold and silver at the World Cup with it. It's been a fan favorite, that's for sure.
Haybag. That name alone sounds like something that should come with a Montana handshake and maybe a little bit of dirt under your fingernails. Love it. And if it's your biggest statewide distributor, that's not just a favorite, that's a flagship. But then you hit me with pumpkin barley wine winning gold and silver at the World Cup. That's the kind of sentence that makes people sit up like, wait, Pumpkin did what now? Huge brag, and you've earned it. So here's what I'm curious about. When you've got a flagship like Haybag that people expect to taste the same every time, how do you keep that consistency locked in, while still letting the brewers be creative and chase those pumpkin barley wine kind of wins?
That's kind of up to the brewers. The brewers make sure, like last week, Brandon went to the hop farm. He smelled a bunch of hops and tasted them. He handpicks what hops he wants in the beers. Max takes care of all, make sure our chemicals are correct. They make sure that the raspberries and all of the ingredients are the same every time, especially Max when he's doing production brewing. I think they're very careful with their recipes on making sure Haybag's the same every time.
So your brewers are basically part taste tester, part scientist. Brandon's out there picking hops by smell, and Max is making sure every batch hits the exact same mark. That kind of consistency doesn't happen by accident. You mentioned medals and awards. How meaningful are those for you, like for morale, marketing, and distribution?
They're very meaningful. Well, to us, they're meaningful. To win the world, we were just overwhelmed. Still can't believe it. And then to do it twice, it's just amazing. And it gives the brewers recognition that they are doing a good job. I don't know if marketing really helps. I think people do appreciate to know about the awards, but I think it's more in-house that we're excited about it.
It's less about bragging rights and more like, okay, we're not crazy, we're actually doing this right. And I love that it shines a spotlight on the brewers. Diva status, confirmed and now award certified. When you say you won at the World Cup, where is that held?
They move it around. It used to be every 2 years. Now it's every year. But we were in Nashville. We won gold with the pumpkin. First year we won silver with Haybag. Haybag won silver. Pumpkins won 2 golds. It's amazing. We were sitting with people from, where were they from? Peru. And
South America.
South America. And yeah, it's all over the world.
Winning gold for a pumpkin beer while sitting next to people from South America is honestly the most random, awesome sentence ever. That's small town Montana meets the whole planet right there. I know you two give back a lot, and I noticed your line. To our planet, to our community. What does that look like in real life? What community causes do you support most? And on the environmental side, what initiatives are you most proud of or most passionate about?
Nolan can speak to that because he got the Sustainability Award 2 years in a row from the state.
3.
3.
Both of the buildings being old, it gave us a lot of opportunity to upgrade things like lighting, insulation, heating and air conditioning, things like that. So it was fairly easy for us to make those buildings and those operations more sustainable by upgrading all these different things that needed it. And we've also implemented reducing the amount of cardboard that we use, recycling the cardboard that we use, even though this county doesn't have an option for recycling, we do it on our own, and encourage others to bring cardboard to us so we can make sure that it gets recycled. But yeah, we won 3 Eco Star Awards, I think they're called, from the Department of Environmental Quality in Helena.
So we do donate a lot of money to charities and things, but I think we're more concerned about the environment and recycling our cans, our cardboard. The brewers are very conscious on how much water they use. I think that's our biggest thing that we do.
But you guys do a ton of stuff in the community.
We support what we can. We do what we can. But yeah, we don't turn anybody down. You know, you get back what you put in. You do get it back.
Well, I happen to know the community is extremely thankful for you and appreciate all you do. So when someone walks into the vault or comes up to the springs, what do you want them to feel?
I want them to feel like they came home. We want them to experience a great time. We want them to come back. We want them to think of it as their brewery, not ours.
Need shipping, shredding, prints, or a real street address? Helena's locally owned and operated The UPS Store has you covered, located at 2047 North Last Chance Gulch. Stop by and get it done right. That came home thing is huge. You can feel the difference between a place that's just serving beer and a place that's building a community, and their brewery, not ours. That's how you get regulars for life. And you've built more than just a brewery. You've got live music, event space, little gathering spots, even the secret garden vibes. And do they pull in more locals, more visitors, or is it pretty evenly both?
Music attracts everybody, but the biggest thing with music has become we've become good friends with the musicians. It's been nice, especially during COVID when they had no jobs and we would hire what we could and keep them working. I think we've become lifelong friends with the musicians. People do enjoy it. The biggest thing I like about the music is kids get exposed to seeing different artists at the brewery, and I think that's very valuable.
That's really cool. Music isn't just entertainment for you, it's relationships. And during COVID, keeping musicians working when you could, that says a lot. Also, I love the kids getting exposed to live artists here. That's the kind of small-town culture people don't talk about enough. Have you had any marketing moments that really surprised you? Like a campaign, a post, an event, even just a funny idea that took off way bigger than you expected?
Yeah, so we did a multi-part thing on Facebook where I talk about the history of the brewery here, and the different significant points of the property here, I guess. So that's a very unique story in the brewing business, I think, and the fact that people can come here and enjoy and participate or engage themselves in that sort of history, I think, really makes us stand out. The other thing that makes us stand out is just bottling the water and distributing it to the national parks to reduce single-use plastic in the parks. Our little company and our little town can influence people in Florida, New York, California, and they come here to Montana and they see what we do here, and it's like, why aren't you doing that in your big cities?
That small-town Montana punching way above its weight. Also, the idea that someone visits from New York and goes home thinking, wait, why don't we do this? That's impact. What's your current distribution footprint, like which parts of Montana you're in, and where folks should look first? Grocery stores, liquor stores, bars, restaurants.
So we distribute statewide. Our biggest markets are Butte, Missoula. We do pretty well up in the Flathead Valley. Bozeman's been really huge for us, and then we actually have beer in Yellowstone National Park. So technically, we're in Wyoming also.
That's pretty much the Montana to Wyoming victory lap. Not bad for a brewery that people told you can't do that in Philipsburg. How did distribution grow over time for you? Like, what was the first big breakthrough account or town, and what helped you go from a few places to statewide?
Well, we started out self-distributing. We had 3 locations that we would deliver kegs to. Decided that was too much work, not worth it. So we went with Summit Beverage, who is the premier distributor of Montana, and they really grew our business big time. Now we have 4 other distributors that distribute our beer, so it's really grown.
Staying Montana first makes sense. You've built something that fits this place, and honestly, Montana is big enough to keep you busy. All right, let's zoom out. Where do you hope Philipsburg Brewing is in 5 to 10 years?
Well, we really haven't thought about it. 5 years is, I guess, just keep growing the employees. What we're really trying to do is get them to take it over. Let them start running it a little bit more, taking more ownership. I don't know if there's any expansion ideas in the works yet. I think we're going to kind of try to just keep what we have and keep it rolling.
I actually love that answer. Not everybody's dream is bigger, bigger, bigger. Building something solid and then handing more ownership to the people who keep it running, that's real legacy stuff. That's how you make it last. So for someone listening who wants to start a brewery in a rural town or revive a historic community kind of business, what are the hard lessons you've learned, the real stuff you wish someone would have told you at the beginning?
Have a big credit card and drink more beer than you ever thought possible. When you start building a brewery, you're so excited and you want to get it open and you work hard, and then it comes to the day-to-day stuff. Don't weaken then. Keep going. That's when the boring stuff starts, is every day. It's the same thing, but you gotta keep going.
We talked to a lot of brewers. We toured lots of breweries all over the country. Everybody has their little niche that they are in. The fact that we're in this small town and can give back to the town, I think, is really important to us. Which is not, which you can't necessarily do in a big city like, Missoula or Bozeman, where there's dozens of breweries up and down the street.
I think the reason why some breweries are successful are the owners are present and they're there and they care about their employees and their customers is a big thing.
All right, let's end with some fun questions. If your brewery equipment could talk, what would it say after hours?
It says, wow, those brewers cuss a lot. What do you think? They do.
If you could invite any famous person, dead or alive, to hang out at the Springs or the Vault for a beer, who are you picking and what beer are you pouring them?
I'd like to have a beer with Johnny Carson.
What would you give him?
Probably the bourbon barrel.
Johnny Carson is a top-tier pick. And pouring him the bourbon barrel? That feels exactly right. That's a sit-back-and-tell-stories kind of beer. All right, I've got a very important survival question. If you had to spend 1 week in the woods and you could only bring 3 of your beers, which 3 are coming with you, and why?
Otter water, and otter water. That's my favorite.
I do a little bit of variety. Do the Montana one, the Tramway, and the Haybag. Well, the Haybag has the most nutrition because of the wheat beer. Montana one's my favorite. And just a little bit of variety there with the Tramway, a little higher alcohol before you go to bed at night.
That's an elite lineup. I'd survive. Probably. All right, last weird one. What's the most ridiculous brewer superstition or old-school trick you've heard or actually done, like talking to the yeast or knocking on the tank?
We have a a little idol thing with an eyeball on it that wards away evil spirits. And these brewers don't do it so much, but Mike, they would touch it before they started a brew. And it came from where?
Portugal.
Portugal.
An evil eye brewing idol from Portugal? That's the kind of thing you don't question. You just touch it and hope the beer gods stay happy. All right, that's all I've got. Before we wrap, is there anything you want to leave people with?
Well, we just want to thank everybody out there for drinking craft beer.
And come see us in Philipsburg.
Big thanks to Cathy and Nolan from Philipsburg Brewing for letting a local Bigfoot hang out and ask questionable questions. If you're headed through Philipsburg, stop into the vault anytime and make the trip up to the springs during the summer months. Check them out at philipsburgbrew.com. And if you want the full write-up, read the article at the406life.com. Until next time, this is Montana Max. Stay wild, stay kind, and don't let the yeast hear you complaining. Got a Montana story, business, or unsolved mystery you want on the show? Head to the406life.com and drop me a line. No smoke signals required. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss a stomp, stumble, or tall tale. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, heck, tell that guy who swears he saw me near Whitefish. I was just buying donuts, all right? Until next time, keep it outrageous, keep it kind, and keep living the 406 life. Montana Max, over and out.
That's the